Having discussed about the cost concepts in our previous session, we'll now talk about the profit concepts, and also we will analyze with the help of the cases. Hello, I am Dr. Ravi giving the topic presentation for Managerial Economics of our MBA program first semester. What is a profit? Profit is a financial gain realized when the revenues from sales exceed the costs associated with the production. In just one word, if you want to present, profit is nothing but the excess of sales revenue over the cost. Now, when I say cost, it is the total cost. Now, what is there in the total cost? We have discussed in the previous session the fixed cost and the variable costs. The fixed cost and variable cost is one categorization. The administrative, the production and selling and distribution expenses all together is another categorization. Whatever be the categorization, we have to take all the costs into consideration and deduct it from the total sales revenue, so that we get a margin which is known as profit. Now, why profit calculation is very important, As finance is the lifeblood of the business, profit is the motive of any entrepreneur to take up the business. Now, this will help the businessman or the economist to understand the dynamics of the market and, to fix the price and optimize it. And also, you will check back how your performance, your organization is performing. The financial performance is demonstrated only through the profit. So, therefore, profit is very important and the analysis of profit is even more important. Now, I would present before you two broad categories of profit. One is normal profit, the minimum profit necessary to keep the organizations keep going. And I can also say there is an accounting profit. The accounting profit is the difference between the revenue and the costs. In addition to this accounting profit and normal profit, you have supernormal profit. What is the supernormal profit? Let's say there are 4 factors of production as per economics. In 4 factors of production, you have to remunerate every factor that is contributing to the production of goods or services. Now, 4 factors let me present before you. The land. You had to pay the compensation for using the land as rent. Now, there is capital also. For using the capital in your business, you had to compensate the capital also. So, on that you pay interest. Then, organization. You have people who are managing at the helm of affairs. So, you had to give them some compensation, management remuneration. Land, labor, capital, organization. So, labor is another factor I had to present. Now, all the employees working for the organization or the workers, in economics, there is no distinction between blue collared employee and a white collared employee. For economics, everybody, blue and white, are all workers and they get wage. Unlike the accounting context where the blue collared employees receive wage and the white collared employees receive salary, there is no such distinction in economics. Everybody, blue or white, officials or workers in the factory, everybody receives only the wage. There is only one term in economics, wage. That is a compensation for the labor. Now, let me come back. For the land, we pay rent. For the labor, we pay wage, and for the capital we pay interest, and for managing the business we pay profit. So, profit also is covered here. Now, after covering the compensation even to management, even to the people who are running the business, even after compensating them, if there is something left over, that's called economic profit. Now, this is just somewhat similar to supernormal profit. So, supernormal profit, how do you define the supernormal profit? You can just look at this as I read this. Profit above the normal profit. Profit above the normal profit. Look at this. There are 4 factors of production, and after compensating for the first 3 factors of production, whatever is left over that belongs to the people managing the business, that's called profit. Organizing people get the profit. Land gets rent, capital gets interest, laborers get wage. Finally, the leftover is profit. That's a simple profit. Okay, that's a normal profit. Over and above, indicating a firm is performing much better than the market average. Okay, if you look at, then this is what supernormal profit. Normal profit, supernormal profit. Supernormal profit is, point to be noted, it is above the market average profit. Now, if you get the excess of, if the expenses or costs are more than the sales revenue, then you will say the company has incurred loss. There is a loss. When the total cost exceeds the total revenue, then there is a loss. Now, if you plot this graphically, the costs and revenues, okay, taking the quantity on the x-axis and revenue or cost, that is the dollars or rupees, on the y-axis. Now, you will find total revenue curve and total cost curve and a profit curve. Okay, total revenue minus total cost. Okay, now this is break-even point. I have discussed about the break-even point already. So graphically, when you present, the profit is seen like this. There is a marginal cost curve which I have discussed in the previous session. There is a total cost curve, average total cost curve, and there is a revenue curve like this, and there is a total revenue curve. This is marginal revenue curve and this is total revenue curve. Right. Now look at this. Marginal cost is the additional cost. Additional cost to produce an additional unit. Then average total cost. Average total cost is nothing but average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Average variable cost plus average fixed cost is average total cost. What is this average total cost? It is the per unit cost. To produce 1 unit, what is the total cost you are incurring? It is comprising both per unit fixed cost and per unit variable cost. So, if you look at the graph, the average total cost curve is coming down like this, okay, as you increase the output. This is the origin, the 0. From 0, if you are increasing the output to Q1, let us say, the average total cost curve is coming down. It is because your average fixed cost comes down with the increased production. With the increased production, the average fixed cost comes down. As you produce more and more, and the fixed cost will be, per unit fixed cost will be less and less. So therefore, the average fixed cost is coming down. Now because of, but the per unit variable cost is fixed, it is not changed. Because of the influence of the fixed cost curve coming down from left to right, the total cost curve, the average total cost curve is pulled down because of the influence of the average fixed cost. And it comes down to such a low point as this. After this point, the average total cost begins to rise. Why the average total cost begins to rise? As you increase the production beyond the controllable limit, your costs will not be able to control. You are in a position that you are not able to control the cost. What does it mean? you are wasting the resources, you are wasting the materials because of the huge amount of handling of the resources. It may be at times the materials, it may be at times the human resources. So, the human and the material resources are being wasted, due to which the average total cost curve comes, it begins to rise up from this point. It comes to a lowest point and begins to rise from this point. Now, look at this. The average total cost curve, the behavior, now we'll look back. It comes down for some time and begins to rise from that point. Because of this behavior, the company for some time it begins to reap the super profits or the economic profits. What is this economic profit? As discussed in previous slide, it is the profit above the industry average, or it is the profit above the market average. So, whenever there is the lowest point of the average total cost and the firm is said to be, it is at its optimum level. We will discuss it using another slide. So, the region that you see, the green region here, it is the economic profit region. This is the economic supernormal profit region. And above this level, if you begin to operate, I do not say that you will be incurring losses and you will be denied, you will be deprived of the supernormal profit, but you will continue to reap the normal profit. Now, the break-even analysis also we will just touch upon here. Break-even analysis, on x-axis you will plot the revenue and cost, and then on y-axis you will plot the revenue and x-axis quantity. You see here, there is a total revenue curve and the total cost curve. We have, it's a recap of the cost concepts, and I'm not going to repeat it too much, but here I just want you to have a look at the total cost curve is undertaken by the total revenue curve. The total revenue curve in the beginning, it is below, much below the total cost curve, and it begins to rise from the origin and rises. At this point it intersects with the revenue curve, and above this the company begins to reap the profit. Below it is loss. So, this is called as, there's an angle here that's called angle of incidence. Okay, and if you want to say what is the break-even point in sales revenue, this is the break-even point in sales revenue. What is the number of units that you need to produce to achieve no profit or no loss? This is the point of, this is the volume that you have to produce to say that there is no profit and no loss. Now, let us look at the highest profit. As I said, we'll be discussing now the marginal cost and marginal revenue and the highest profit, super profit. Okay, this is the curve, and look at this definitions: marginal cost, cost of producing one additional unit; marginal revenue, extra revenue that is generated out of selling an additional unit. And these things we will plot. On x-axis we will plot the quantity, and on y-axis we will plot the revenue and cost, and the curves are marginal cost curves and marginal revenue curve. Now, profit is highest when additional cost is equal to additional revenue. This is the equation. You can take it for your examination. Marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. When you achieve this point, you can say that the firm is at its optimum level of operation like this. Look at this graph. The quantity plotted on the x-axis, the cost and revenue on the y-axis. Look at this level. The marginal cost revenue, as discussed in the previous slide, it is coming down for some time and it begins to rise. The marginal cost, the additional cost to produce and sell 1 unit extra is marginal cost. Now, average cost curve, average cost or average total cost curve. This, I told you that it comes down again. It is because of the behavior of the fixed cost curve, which comes down with the average fixed cost curve, which comes down with the increased output. Now, it comes down and rises up. It is because of the additional costs incurred due to wastage of the resources. So, therefore, average cost or average total cost curve is increasing. Now, you will see an intersection of marginal cost curve and average cost curve. And this is the point where the firm is said to be at its optimum level. We say that the firm is at its optimum level. Profit is equal to marginal revenue is equal to average revenue. Okay, this is the equation that we had to focus on. Look at this. This is another presentation of the marginal cost curve and the average cost curve. Now, look at this. The average revenue is sliding downward from left to right with the increased production. Average revenue. Now, marginal cost is going up. Average cost also is going up. Now, the point where the average revenue is equal to the average cost is equal to marginal cost. So, this is the point of optimization, profit maximization. Now, if you want to look at some of the cases, like we'll look at Apple. Now, Apple consistently achieving supernormal profit. It is because of their strong brand and innovative products and high margin strategies. And there's a high demand for premium products and allows Apple to, there is always room at the top. Like, people are always eager to, there are disposable income, at least, at a negligible percentage it may be, there is a huge amount of disposable income at, high net worth individuals. So, the Apple is trying to capture that surplus income or maybe excess disposable income of the individuals. So, therefore, there is a high demand for products like Apple. And just in mobile phone segment, I think Apple is the first one to make this kind of products, where creating a demand for the luxurious mobile device or communication device. So, the cost structure, when you look at now, because they are producing on large scale, because they are focusing on high quality products, they are also deploying the advanced technology which is reducing the cost. So, Apple has two advantages. Their focus is on the premium customer base and their costs also are lowest. Sometime back somebody was telling, the mobile phone whose cost is 70,000 in the market, the cost of that gadget, if you calculate, it is not more than 3,500. Now, why the 3,500 worth mobile phone is priced at 70,000? It is because of the the marketing strategies. It is because of the research and development activities. There are many things. In spite of all that also, there is a huge amount of profit available to the Apple. Now, Apple follows skimming strategy of pricing. On one hand, they had the best of the technology which reduces the average cost of production. On the other hand, they had the premium customer base. Because of this, Apple is maintaining consistently profitability, and it is supernormal profitability. Now, let us look at another case, Netflix. And Netflix initially enjoyed supernormal profit, but later on it faced a competition from, when you start doing something, others also follow. So, other streaming services also followed, and then like Amazon. And then because you're competing with your competitors, then you have to keep up the pace, and you have to retain your customers. Then you had to employ, you had to deploy so much of funds on the advertisement. So there is an increased spending on the digital content, and to retain the subscribers, and the profit margin began to slim down, or there is a thinning margin due to competition. And there is, yeah, then Netflix decided that to go global, and they want to reach the diverse base of customers, and also tune the pricing according to the needs of the country where they are entering. Now we have another case study, that is Tesla. Tesla transitioned from years of huge amount of losses in the beginning, and it scaled up the production. Okay, Tesla now is the leading company in the United States. Then the revenue growth also, it is, yeah, its success is represented with the S model, and Model 3, it began to give bumper profits. Then there is a cost curve. Initial high fixed cost decrease with the economics to scale, or economies to scale. And in the long run, the profitability of Tesla improved substantially. Now we'll look at another case study, Amazon. So Amazon operates on low margins. It is they want large volume and thin margin, just like in the case of Hyderabad, where we see the Irani hotels, or where biryani is served. They operate at thin margin, but because of the volume, they are consistently making profit. Okay, this is one model. Amazon follows this model. It operates on low margins and high volume, and they may get thin margin, it's okay, but because of the high volume, they are dominating the market. And the revenue model of Amazon, if you see, they are with the diverse income streams, including e-commerce and AWS and other subscriptions. The cost structures, if you look at, it allows the efficiencies, enabling the marginal operational margins. Then the strategy is focusing on the market share in the long run. Okay, it leads to substantial profitability. There is one more strategy here, consolidation. We are not going to talk about that here, because that's not part of the present topic. Now, what are the lessons that we learn from these 4 case studies? Now, innovation and brand loyalty is one key point. Number 2 is competition. Number 3 is transition, and number 4 is low margin, high volume. So these are the 4 important issues that we need to understand when we look at the profitability. Now, before I close, I want to present before you, the market structures, which are also important when you are analyzing, your company's profitability. Markets are, we will discuss these markets in another session, in another occasion, but markets are monopoly market, duopoly market, and competitive market. So monopoly is where there is only one seller and there are many buyers. Now the electricity that we buy from the public company, like Telangana State Electricity, it is called as Telangana Southern Power Distribution Corporation of Telangana. That's the only company. Now you may say there are captive generators. We're not talking about the captive generators. We get the public electricity from only one company, that's called Public Power Distribution Company of Telangana. Now likewise, the water, drinking water, you may say mineral water cans we are getting. No, I'm not talking about that. The public source is only the GHMC connection. Through GHMC connection only we procure the water. Even the can people, they procure from there and they had to process and sell us. So there's only one seller and many buyers, monopoly. And there are two sellers and many buyers. There's a competition. There's a competition, oligopoly. Oligopoly. There are few sellers. If you look at electronic companies, there are few sellers. If you look at the malls, there are few people operating malls in the country. And if you look at the retail chain like Reliance, okay, there are few people. There are, if you take mobile networks, there are few people. There are not hundreds of people. There are very, very few people. So this is few people, few sellers and many buyers. Now let's lastly come to competition, perfect competition, where there are many sellers and many buyers. When you're deciding the profit, you have to take this market structure where you're operating into consideration before deciding your price, before fixing the price. And after fixing the price, your profitability depends on the efficiency of your fixation of the price. So with this, we conclude that profit is achieved by the companies by lowering the cost and increasing the revenue. The difference between revenue and the cost is profit. You can increase this profit either by reducing the cost by any means, technology or any means, or by increasing the revenue by any means. It may be by your brand loyalty or any other way. So there are only two ways to increase the profitability. Thank you.